Hello, everyone. Long time no see. Before we get started, let's everyone say thank you to Julia Maytop-Hersey for getting me back into YouTube and always providing me with a copy of the Dyachenko's new work. So, as many of you probably know, my favorite book is a tie between Vita Nostra and Reaper's Gale. So, Vita Nostra is an incredible book. The brief kind of description of it is it's about a girl named Sasha as she goes through a terrifying but exhilarating transformation as she learns about the true nature of reality at this very strange institute. So, book 3 comes out today, and I was provided an early copy by Julia, and I absolutely loved it. I thought that it was such a cool iteration on the ideas presented in the earlier books. So, as you remember, in book 1, Sasha is approached by this very strange man, and he uses fear to manipulate her into doing a bunch of very weird tasks. When she does them, she vomits up gold coins, and she's told to collect them and use them to gain admission into the Institute of Special Technologies in the strange little town called Torba. While she's there, she starts experiencing these very, very weird lessons at the school. They're pretty much nonsensical, and all the townsfolk think that all the students there are on drugs because of how strangely they behave. But the truth is, they are learning about the true nature of reality, and as they progress through their studies, they're shedding more and more pieces of their humanity until they are able to manifest as words and become part of the great speech, which is the language that holds reality together. So it turns out that Sasha is a very special part of speech. She's actually a password, and with that power, she's capable of birthing a new reality or destroying one. Hence the title of book 2, Assassin of Reality. In book 2, it is largely much of the same. Sasha, after the end of book 1, she kind of fails her test at the end, just based on her agency. Really, she made a choice, and it was technically the wrong one, but not really. So in book 2, she has to go through another year at the Institute, and at the end of it, she once again reverberates as password and makes a new reality, but this one is devoid of fear and death. And that was her goal kind of all along. Now, what's really interesting is that takes us to School of Shards book 3, which I'm reviewing today. In School of Shards, the ideas presented in the earlier books really evolved a little because now that Sasha has made this new world, it turns out that fear is seemingly a fundamental part of reality, and a world without fear and death basically unravels. And so Sasha has ripped a bunch of holes in the Great Speech, and because of that, she is now the provost of the Institute. And so what I really, really like about this book is she's on the other end of things this time. She's actually the headmaster at the school, and she has taken the place of all of the teachers that she so hated and who kind of tormented her in the first 2 books. So it's a really interesting role reversal to see how she interacts with students and how she pushes them. But the problem is, because there's no fear in this world, Sasha's not capable of properly motivating them. And so these students aren't progressing as they should, and it seems like they are going to be unable to mend the holes that she tore out the world. And so as Sasha gets more and more desperate, and as the world unravels more and more, until basically only the town of Torba is left, Sasha takes on some kind of drastic measures, and she introduces a new crop of students to join the school. And among them are 3 boys who are very important. There is Pashka and Arthur. They're twins, the Grigoriev twins, and they are the twin sons of the pilot that Sasha was in love with in book 2. In this new reality that she's created, this pilot is with some other woman, had 2 kids, and these twins have grown up, and they are admitted to the Institute. And then along with the twins is also Valia, the third one. And Valia is Sasha's little brother, her half-brother, who, if you recall in book 1, Valentin and Sasha's mom got together. They had a baby, and Sasha, while not totally in control of her powers, nearly killed the baby at the end of the book by kind of enveloping him in her consciousness. And so because of that, it seems like there may be kind of a spark of her power or divinity or whatever embedded within him. And so Sasha's hope is that these three students can hopefully mend the holes that she's torn in life. And so throughout this book, we're following all four perspectives. And through the perspective of the boys, we get the familiar story that we've seen before in Vita Nostra and Assassin of Reality, with these students having to do these seemingly impossible tasks, all these very strange lessons and mental manipulations that just seem totally crazy and impossible to do. But we also get Sasha's perspective, and because at this point she is so knowledgeable and really understands how everything works, I feel like we get a lot more insight into what is happening than when we're simply following people who are in the dark about the situation. And so that's something that I really, really enjoyed about this book, was getting a deeper view into what is really going on and how things work, and seeing Sasha's disagreements with the other teachers there. Also, one thing to note is that since she removed fear from the world, Vadiot from book 1 and Portnoy in Sterk, they no longer exist in this world since they were kind of manifestations of fear. So this book was a super interesting take on the situation. I really liked the twins in this book. They were kind of frustrating and annoying, but also very, very believable as twin brothers to me. I don't have any siblings, but their relationship just seemed very real. And the way that as twins, they're able to like switch places with one another sometimes. For example, one of them isn't very good with girls, and so the other one, who is better with girls, would flirt with the girl on his behalf and then switch. Stuff like that, which isn't necessarily a great thing to do, I would say. But I really enjoyed that in this book. I also really liked Valia in this book. Valia, Sasha's little brother, he does kind of have some preferential treatment. So Sasha's the headmaster here. And well, Sasha had never really she's been completely estranged from her family this entire time since she reverberated and has become more than or less than human, depending on how you look at it. So in this book, once Valia arrives at the school, Sasha kind of takes him under her wing a little bit, and they actually develop a relationship. When he's frustrated or scared or he doesn't know what's going on, he will simply show up at her apartment sometimes, and she'll let him in, and they'll have interesting conversations that kind of shed more light on the way that everything works. And so this book was great. I really, really loved it. I would give it 4.5 stars. Vita Nostra is a 5-star book for me. I absolutely love it, and I still think it's probably my favorite in the series. Assassin of Reality, I would say 4 stars, 4.25 maybe. And then School of Shards, which I've got here. This is my second favorite. What I do really, really enjoy about this book is the clarity that we get on things. However, what I love so much about the first book is actually being in the dark and following Sasha as she has no idea what's going on. So there's kind of a trade-off there. I really like having this new information and seeing things from the other side. However, the initial mystery of the first book is just so compelling and so interesting to me. So I still think that book 1's my favorite. But this was a close second. I really, really enjoyed it, and I think that you should all pick up a copy. It was released today, so you can go and order that now. And along with that, there's also a Reddit Ask Me Anything that is also scheduled for today, the 17th. Also, I'm not sure where I'll put this in the video, but something that I asked to Julia that I was just kind of interested in was in Torpa, there's a street called Sacco and Manzetti. And I was wondering, I was like, hey, Julia, is that a localization? And in Russian, it's like initially like 2 bank robbers that people there would know? Or is it actually also called Sacco and Manzetti Street in Russian? And it turns out it's the latter. That's actually what the street is called. It's not a localization. And it turns out that it actually has to do with kind of the political situation and kind of anti-American propaganda. Those two people were apparently seen as kind of like a Robin Hood type figure, a bit of a folk hero. And so they were kind of idolized a little bit, I suppose. At least that's what Julia told me. So I thought that was interesting. So if you have any other questions, be sure to join the Reddit AMA. And I hope that you pick up this book. It was really, really good. I do plan to come back to YouTube. I have some other things to review as well. And also, so I just graduated. And after graduating, I rewatched Game of Thrones. And I loved it so much. And then I got to season 7 and 8. And I thought I was going to stop, but I couldn't. I had to finish it. I actually think that season 7 is not that bad, but season 8 it's rough. And so I rewrote the 8th season of Game of Thrones. And so I'm going to film probably a long video on that, going through my rewrites and how I think the story could be made to fit into the 8 seasons. But just, I feel like if you just rewrote season 8 and made it 10 episodes, you could still tell the full story, but do it in a way that is a lot more emotionally resonant and satisfying of prophecies in the books, and just a way more fulfilling ending that kind of doesn't come out of nowhere so much. So because I rewrote the 8th season, expect a video on that. It might take me a while to film and edit it, since it's probably going to be like an hour long. But yes, enjoy. So be on the lookout for that. I'll make a community post or something when it's about to come out. So with that being said, I appreciate everyone for watching. Please go pick up this book. I absolutely loved it, and I think that you will too. Thank you. Bye.